If you're shopping for a sailboat and you Google search sailboat buying inspection checklist, you'll be treated to about 1 million articles on the topic. So what we're going to do for you today is to amalgamate all that information into one place. And then we're going to ask our practical sailor viewers with all the knowledge and experience they have to add that in the comments of this video. So stay tuned. This is going to be a good one. Alright, so here's the deal. There are two ways to approach buying a sailboat. One is romantic. You fall in love with the lines and the teak and the idea of sunset anchorages and cold drinks in the cockpit. The other way to buy one is clinical. You treat the boat like a floating machine that's constantly trying to break or leak or corrode or catch fire or kill you. Today we're going to lean into that second mindset because the people who do this right don't just buy a boat, they avoid buying a pile of problems. And here's the first truth that shows up across every serious checklist out there. Your job is not really to survey the boat. Your job is to filter boats. You are the gatekeeper before the surveyor ever steps on board. So let's walk through this like you're standing at the dock, clipboard in hand. Before you even go see the boat, you want to start asking questions. Why are they selling it? Do they have maintenance records? When was the standing rigging last replaced? Not looked at, replaced. When did the engine last run under load? Is the boat ready to be launched and sea trialed today? You're not just gathering information here, you're reading the seller. Organized sellers with receipts and dates, that's a good sign. Vague answers and a lot of "I think so," that's a preview of what you're about to find when you step on the boat. Also, when you go see a boat, make sure you know every single thing there is to know about that make and model. Don't trust that the seller or the seller's broker will know a lot about the boat itself. It's your job to go figure that stuff out so you know the weak points of the make and model. Go join the owners groups. Search for things that are wrong with that boat in cruisers forum. That way you come well prepared. Now you step on board, and this is where something subtle but powerful happens. First impression. Smell the boat. I'm serious, your nose is one of the best diagnostic tools that you've got. Mold, diesel, sewage, stale water, those smells don't lie. They're breadcrumbs leading you to deeper issues. Look around. Is the boat clean and have a lived in but cared for kind of thing going on? Or is it staged? Freshly wiped surfaces and chaos hiding in the lockers? You're already forming a picture of how this boat has been treated. Now let's get into the structure, the bones of the boat. Hopefully you can see the boat out of the water and start with the hull. Ideally, you're seeing this boat right after a haul out and we're looking for blisters. A few here and there is not a deal breaker. A whole field of them, now that's a project. Sight down the side of the hull, looking for waviness and any signs of repairs, anything that suggests a hard life or a hard impact. Check the keel joint if it's a bolt-on keel. If you see the cracking or the classic smile, that could mean the boat's either had a grounding or not really been maintained. And then move to the rudder. Try to lift it, move it side to side, fore and aft. Bad rudder bearings will become quite obvious. Not the end of the world, but it is a big job. The rudder blade, is there any swelling or cracks? Water inside the rudder turns into a slow motion failure, and it can be a pretty big deal, but it is quite common. Now let's come up on deck because this is where boats hide some of their most expensive secrets. Walk every inch of that deck. I like to do it with no shoes on. Feel for soft spots, flexing, that subtle give under your feet that shouldn't be there. It should feel more like a sidewalk than it does a lawn. Pay attention around stanchions and winches and especially chain plates and deck-stepped mast if that's the case. Wet decor is one of those problems that doesn't announce itself loudly, but it can quietly drain your wallet. And if you see staining inside the cabin that lines up with deck hardware, that's confirmation. Especially look for soft spots in areas on the side decks, under the windows, and specifically around jib tracks if the boat is equipped with them. The jib sheets pull upward very hard on the jib tracks, which are bolted through the side deck, so if water wants to get in, this is where it's going to happen. Now let's talk about rigging, because this is where things get real fast. Standing rigging has a finite lifespan. Roughly 10 years is a rule of thumb in saltwater. After that, you either have to prove that it's been replaced or assume that it hasn't. and you price the boat accordingly. Remember too that if you want full coverage insurance on this boat, not just liability, then your insurer may demand receipts for the standing rigging. If no receipts are available, feel free to use that in your negotiations later. Look closely at the cables, the wires, the shrouds and stays, broken strands and kinks, rust staining. Check the swage fittings for cracks and for rust creeping out of the bottom ones. Inspect the chain plates where they pass through the deck. Any sign of corrosion or water intrusion there, and you're into some serious territory. Next up, sails and running rigging. Open the sail bags if they're put away. Actually look at the sails. Check the stitching, the UV cover, the edges where they take the most abuse. Old sails aren't necessarily a deal breaker, but they can be expensive later. And they're costs that add up quickly when you're buying a boat. Lines, halyards, sheets, look for sun damage, stiffness, fraying. Canvas like Dodgers and Biminis, same story. Not structural, but not cheap either. The other thing about line is where the line ends up in the clutch when the sails are hoisted and trimmed tends to be where the line wears. And when the sails are down, the line won't be at that location when it reaches the clutch. So you'll have to check this on a sea trial. Now we're going to move to the engine, the mechanical heart of the boat, and often the most expensive single component if it needs to be replaced. Beta Marine has helped with some cheaper engines, but it's still a lot of money. Before you even start, look at it. Is it clean in a maintained way or clean as just wiped down way? Check for leaks and corrosion, tired hoses. Pull the dipstick. Is the oil milky? Walk away if it is. That's water and it absolutely shouldn't be in the oil. Also, is the oil warm or cold? Warm oil means they just ran the boat before you showed up. Why? Is the boat in the water? If it is, start the engine cold if it's cold. How hard does it crank? What color is the smoke? Once it's running, let it warm up. Watch the temperature and the oil pressure. Listen for noises. And this is key, run it in gear, not just idling at the dock. You want to know how it behaves under load because that's where the problems are probably going to show up. Next, pull the bilge boards and have a look around. If there are keel bolts, are they rusty? Is the bilge floor around those bolts flat and solid, or is it bubbling up and stress cracking? In the case of a boat like, let's say, the Catalina 30 that had wood in between the hull and the keel, water would get in, rot the wood, and then it would crack the bilge floor. In the case of boats that are more structural keel matrix grid like Beneteau, look for stress in that grid where it meets the hull, looking for cracks and signs that the grid is trying to separate from the hull. Now let's talk about the systems that can sink a boat. Through hulls and seacocks. Open and close every single one. Are they accessible first? And then if they're stiff or frozen or they feel sketchy, that's a problem. Look at hoses that are attached to them, cracked, brittle, mismatched. Replace them if you can. And hose clamps. You want to see good stainless hose clamps properly installed, ideally doubled up under the waterline. Because here's the reality, boats don't usually sink dramatically all in one fell swoop. They sink quietly while no one's around through a failed fitting below the waterline. The electrical system, this is where things get creative depending on how many owners this boat has had. Open the panel and look behind it. You're hoping to see neat labeled wires. What you often see is years of just adding one more thing layered on top of each other. Loose wires, household connectors, electrical tape fixes, those are not just messy, they're dangerous. Fire risk on a boat is a nightmare scenario, and bad wiring is the leading cause of it. Check the batteries. Are they secured and tied down? Often they're not. Are the connections clean? Put some dielectric grease on them? Are there dozens of wires stacked onto one terminal? These are all clues. Now head inside and look at the structure from below. Bulkhead tabbing around the chain plates. You're looking for discoloration and rot and separation. Sometimes I'll poke at a wooden bulkhead down low with a dental pick to see if the wood is soft, indicative of a leak. Look around ports and hatches. Are there signs of ongoing leaks? Water intrusion over time can do some serious damage, even if the boat still looks good at first glance. Sometimes I'll see water running stains that are dried off, but they are stains from previous issues under a fastener or a window or something, and I'll follow where that water would go if it had been leaking for a long time. And often it leads me to a soft spot somewhere in the cabin sole or somewhere in a bulkhead that you wouldn't have thought to look. Following the water helps, and you're the detective here. Steering and controls next. Turn the wheel lock to lock and move the rudder blade. Does it feel smooth? Or is there slop or play? Check linkage and cables and the quadrant if you can get to it. This is your connection to the boat underway, and it needs to be solid. And then we get to the moment that separates the dreamers from the buyers. The sea trial. Never skip it. If it can be had, go have it. Start the boat cold. Run it long enough to fully warm up to operating temperature. Put it in gear, forward, reverse. Get up to cruising RPM. Watch the gauges. Listen, feel for vibration. Vibration especially seems to show up in reverse at about half throttle, so keep that in mind. If there's wind, sail the boat. Hoist the sails, trim them, test the systems, and check all the lines where they meet the clutches now that the sails are up, because that's going to be the wear spot. This is where the boat stops being a static object and becomes what it actually is, a full working machine of hundreds of different things that can go wrong. Finally, after all of this, after you've filtered and narrowed down, now you bring in a professional surveyor if the boat's worthy. Condition and value survey is what you need, not an insurance job. Haul the boat, be there in person. If the engine is questionable, consider a separate engine survey, compression check, oil analysis, all that stuff. Same with the rigging. If it's older and you're planning some serious offshore use, you can bring in a rigger to look at it. And one more thing, don't use the surveyor that the seller tells you to use. You want someone firmly on your side of the table. I think that goes without saying. So if we boil this all down into one guiding principle, it's this: buy the boat with the best bones. Cosmetics are pretty easy, electronics are replaceable, and they wear out pretty quick. Sails and canvas can be negotiated in the price, but structural issues, rigging uncertainty, bad wiring, and engine problems, those are where the deal might die. And that's the checklist. Not just a list of items, but a way of thinking about boats, a way of walking through them with your eyes open, looking past your rose-colored glasses because you really like the boat, and seeing the reality. Now this is where it gets interesting, because the practical sailor audience, you guys have seen everything. The weird failures, the hidden issues, the things that never show up on a checklist until they bite you in the butt later. So jump into the comments and add to this list. What did we miss? What has burned you in the past? What saved you? Let's turn this into the most complete real-world sailboat buying checklist out there, because the goal here isn't just to buy a boat. It's to buy a good one and avoid one that ruins the entire experience for you. And since we're on the topic, did you see this article that we have on the Practical Sailor site? Can glue injection fix rotten core? Good question. 2 adhesive products stand out in our testing and our comparison of quick fix deck repair techniques. This article is definitely worth checking out. I'll leave a link in the description for you. And while you're here, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. It really helps us out, but also it lets YouTube know that you like sailing videos, so it'll show you more of them. How cool is that? And hit subscribe so I can see you again next time.